At this time last week, we all voiced our concern about Georgia's line play on both sides of the ball, and the Bulldogs came out and they showed us exactly why we had concerns, because Ole Miss just completely dominated both sides of the football. Nick Chubb having issues running the football all year against inferior defenses. Now he's got a sprained ankle. He's kind of questionable for this Saturday. Of course, it's a big matchup against Tennessee, in which Georgia has to get a win against the Vols to get back in the Eastern Division race. Jacob Eason and company against the Vols. Mike, we'll start with you. I know that this game, even if you got by Florida as predicted at the beginning of the season, this one was a concern, but maybe you expected a little bit better Bulldogs edition than what we're seeing the last few weeks.
Well, let's not count Georgia out quite yet. There's still a lot of talent on that Georgia team. They're having problems with their offensive line, but they've had a lot of drop passes the first four games of the season. If they catch 50% of those passes, that offense is going to be a little bit better. Of course, Nick Chubb, I don't think has practiced at all this week. I think he's what NFL would consider questionable with a hurt ankle. And of course, Georgia's got a stable of great running backs, and they've got talent on the defensive side. They return probably they return the best defensive secondary in the nation statistic-wise. So Tennessee is not overlooking Georgia. The Tennessee-Georgia rivalry is always close. 2006, Tennessee was down, coming at big win in Knoxville against Georgia. Last year, Tennessee had that big comeback. Last year's Tennessee-Georgia game looked a lot like this year's Tennessee-Florida game. So the Georgia-Tennessee game is always close, very close rivals. Tennessee recruits Atlanta and Central Georgia heavily. So Tennessee has a ton of Georgia kids on their roster. So this is going to be a dogfight. It doesn't matter that Georgia's coming off a big loss against Ole Miss. It doesn't matter that Tennessee's coming off a big win against Florida. This is going to be a dogfight. I've been very pleased with all the stuff coming out of Knoxville this week about how the team refocused quickly after that Florida win and focused exclusively on Georgia. It's another big game for Tennessee. If Tennessee wins against Georgia, they'll have a 2-game lead on their two biggest opponents, Florida and Georgia, going into the SEC East race. It makes that Florida-Georgia game later in the season a de facto knockout for the East Championship. So I think Tennessee's focused. I think Tennessee's going to come out. They're going to play a lot like they played against Florida, try to establish the run, maintain that, try to get Jalen Hurd 100 yards. And they're going to let Josh Dobbs throw it across the middle on those second, third-level routes. And they're going to see if they can go in and take a win out of Sanford Stadium. But I expect a close game. Don't count Georgia out of this game. They're going to come out with a lot of fight and a lot of heart like Georgia teams do.
The kind of way I'll look at it is I think what happened last week with Georgia when they went to Ole Miss, I think they probably might need to hope that, Tennessee has another slow start because, I don't think you want to be put in that situation again when you're, down right out of the gate and you have to, maybe try and fight back. I'm talking about Georgia here. So they've given up 376 yards to Missouri in passing and 330 yards. So to Ole Miss last week. So, and we know how hot Josh Dobbs got last week versus, a really good UF secondary in the second half of last week. So, Dobbs might have his chances again. And there's still just something right with that Georgia offense, not, right now. Not consistent enough quarterback play from Jacob Eason. The running game still hasn't found its way with Nick Chubb. So, I think if Tennessee gets the lead, I'm afraid, Georgia won't really have the ability to fight back. One thing they can do is if they get that running game going, Georgia this season, they're holding on to the ball for about 35 minutes a game. So, if they can make this an ugly game where they can keep their offense on the field and keep Josh Dobbs on the sideline, that's the type of game I think Georgia really wants, at home and not getting down like they did last week against Ole Miss. But like I said, Jacob Easton's been spluttering with his consistency, but, can he turn it around? This is Georgia's first home game in 3 weeks. So, can he be sharper, quicker, and better? But the crowd will be ready. But I just think Tennessee will have too much for Georgia, and I do expect a close game. I don't think Georgia will let Tennessee jump ahead like they let Ole Miss last week. But I just think I don't think Georgia's consistent enough on offense right now to beat a really good Tennessee team.
Yeah, I think kind of going off of what you guys said, this is, we talk about Florida bouncing back going to Vanderbilt, but this is also a chance for Georgia to kind of bounce back. Easton came off the win at Missouri, and he was basically the hero coming out of that game, for Georgia on the road. Then he turns around and just completely got smacked at Ole Miss. And I think that's something that you also have to look at, too, defensively. Georgia got beat up pretty bad in that game. And so I think that, it's going to be a big key for them is can they defensively get back on track? Can they do something? Can Mel Tucker get some of these guys, rallied and ready to go defensively to face off against this Tennessee team? Tennessee just came off of a marquee win. How are they going to bounce back from that? Is this going to be kind of a lull for them after getting such a big win, such an emotional win? A lot of teams are really vulnerable after they come off big wins like this. And so that's something to kind of watch too. Athens will be jumping up and down after that big loss. And again, you guys talk about the fact that Easton did so poor against Ole Miss, 137 yards passing, 50% completion. And so I think some of the things to watch for me in this game is one area is going to be special teams. I think Tennessee right now has by far got the better special teams unit, especially when it comes to field goal kicking. Georgia's kickers right now are 3 for 8 from the field goal range, and that's something to kind of keep your eye on. We've seen in the past where this game has been a big heavyweight fight, and these guys have gone blow to blow, and it come down to a field goal. And so I think that could be something that really kind of plays into it. Again, one of the things to watch for too, I think the Georgia fans will be rocking this place out. Can Easton come back? Will that crowd be a factor? But one of the big matchups I want to see is Tennessee's defense, versus Easton. Can they rattle him? Can they get to him, put some pressure on him, make him make mistakes? We saw where Ole Miss was really able to capitalize on that. Haynesworth looked like a beast at times. And so I think that's something that we need to see. Can they replicate that? Can Tennessee do that for 4 quarters? And, Shoop was finally came through for him for this last week. He came in, he said that this is what he was paid to do, and he came in and he did just that. So I want to see how they do and how they handle that, and can they bounce back from how do these teams handle adversity? I think so. There's a lot more of a storyline going on between these two teams than maybe what a lot of people are talking about.